Welcome once again to KellyVision, this week right in the middle of London's up-and-coming docklands. There's no doubt about it, word of the show is spreading internationally. I mean, top people are literally queuing up to get on it. Look at today, for instance. We've got President Reagan, Mrs. Thatcher, even members of the royal family. They may not say very much, but we'll meet them. They're all inhabitants of Limehouse Studios, which is the London home of Spitting Image. This is where the puppets are made, although they actually go in front of the cameras in Birmingham. And these absolutely unique puppets were the brainchild of Peter Fluck and Roger Law, collectively known as Luck and Flaw. Gentlemen, how did it all begin, Peter?
Well, we worked for a number of years as illustrators. We used to do caricature models in plasticine, 3D models, have them photographed, and they were used as illustrations.
And these on the front page of magazines all over the world.
Yeah. So it was all jolly nice, so long as the newspapers gave you the right sort of article to illustrate. But when Rupert Murdoch came along and took the content out of newspapers, it became very, very difficult to keep going, to in fact make a living out of doing it.
So how did you get involved in telly?
Someone came along and said they'd put some money in for us to do research on how to turn the three-dimensional heads, a very logical idea, that we made for print into movable puppets for television.
Can we look at how you set about creating a new character? I mean, how do you start? Is it with a drawing like this one?
Full face profile and video. If you have to make caricatures...
Just about what the police use, right?
Exactly. If you have to do an Italian, for an Italian show, that reference is absolutely essential, because you won't have grown up with them, you won't have watched them on the box, you know. Mr. Kelly from, 1975 through to we know who he is, we could do the caricature. So the reference is essential. The speed then has to be much quicker. Once you've got the pictures, you go into these thumbnail sketches. There's Jonathan Miller, there's Branson. These are done in about 20 minutes. Once you've got a profile and a full face...
This is done to break the face down, so you know what the clay shapes are going to be. And once the drawings are okay, then working the clay starts.
Do you do that personally, or you have a team that does it?
Well,
we couldn't possibly do all of it personally, but we have 700 puppets. But I mean, occasionally you have to roll your sleeves up for that reason. You try and get the caricature very much like the person, rather than a technical display, which when you think some of these guys are now on their 150th puppet, pulling the nose out 2 foot, it's probably the only enjoyment they're going to get, you know.
Now, the puppeteers can't very well shove their hands off a piece of clay, so what's the stage after that?
Well, the clay model is finished, and then of course a mould is made. That's a very skilled process. It's quite a complicated mould made, which you can take a foam cast out of. That foam cast is just an empty rubber shape. Now that has to be fitted with a skull and eye movements, and sort of finger holds for the puppeteer's hand to go in, and any other sort of little special things that it needs.
You shove a rigid skull up inside the latex?
Well, pretty much like your skull. You cut away as much of that fiberglass skull as you can, so that you can hang the eyes off it, and it will hold the shape of the head. But it's as minimal as possible, isn't it?
To keep the weight down also, so that you can retain the movement that the rubber will give you anyway.
You can do one of these in a day. I don't advise it, but it's possible. A really good puppet, maybe you get 4 days on. You've got time to think about it. But the secret really was putting those skills in the right order to come out with the puppets.
We're a caricature and a puppet factory. We have to be because of the needs of the show.
Mrs. Thatcher in a rare moment of relaxation, and ALISON Charteris wig designer. How long will you leave Mrs. T in the curlers?
Because they're heated rollers until they're cooled right down, so, it's been in there about half an hour.
Now, what do you work on when you're designing her wig? Photographs, drawings?
Yes, yeah, we get, all the relevant research, all the photographs, and look at them and take sort of like the optimum style to kind of get it to... Because the hair actually finishes off the caricature.
So when the puppets come down to you, they're bald, are they?
Yes, yes.
Can I have a look at one?
Yes, we have
Terrifying.
a bald one here.
Looks like E.T.
Yes, she does a bit.
But it's not.
No. This one was originally started off as Mia Farrow, we're actually going to use her as a career lady in
would be
the next
pleased.
series. Yes.
Now, I'm longing to know who the mystery man is.
Our mystery man is the one and only Mr. Heseltine.
That's absolutely marvellous, isn't it? Jackie Hallett, costume maker. Which character is that one for?
It's for Scargill. This is a fancy dress costume.
These are all actual life size, are they?
Yeah, well, most of them are.
Why has that one got what looks like an extra arm?
This is so the puppeteer can actually go through the sleeve extension, and then they go into that, and then they puppeteer it that way.
Why is that a smaller one?
Well, mainly because they think their characters, like Steele, he works well with Owen being small, and a lot of the cute characters tend to be small as well. We can buy the shoes and the shirts. The shirts come from Mothercare.
What kind of instructions are you given about costume?
Well, the costume designer will give me a sketch, or she'll say to me, want a double-breasted suit or a single-breasted suit, or instructions come straight from the costume designer, and then she'll leave it up to me, and I make the patterns and make the costumes up, and hopefully come out with the right thing in the end. We have about between anything from about 3 costumes to about 10 costumes to make in 2 days. So some weeks you might get a bit more time, and other weeks you don't get any time at all.
On the running orders then, please. Right then, a quick read.
And over now to the Australian Open, where Britain's Nigel Mansell is making his debut on the professional golf circuit.
Well, Des, Nigel was doing very well indeed, way ahead of the field until the 18th when disaster struck. His golf trolley lost a wheel, spun, hit the bunker, turned over, and exploded. Mansell's okay but dazed, and he's unable to continue. But oh look, there's Nelson Piquet behind him, slipping in with a quick birdie to win the championship. Victory for the Brazilian. What bad luck for Britain's top mustache. But when it comes to losing, there's no doubt that Mansell's the world's #1.
Wow. Heavy stuff.
At this stage of the week, it's all terribly loose. We're not really quite sure what's going to go into the show, so we have an awful lot of sketches that we plan to do, and we plan to make all those sketches anyway. We have no running order as yet as to what might go out, but we're putting an awful lot into the can, which may or may not end up in the show. So we were trying things out.
So, Geoffrey, in a sense, the show's in 2 parts, is it? Some material has been written and prepared beforehand. Some you leave to the last minute. Is that about right?
Well, of the stuff that we were doing today, that'll end up making about sort of 17, 18 minutes of the show. On top of that, we'll stick a song, which we've recorded in a bit of banking about a month ago. And then there's about 4 or 5 minutes of stuff which we write the day beforehand, and we shoot actually on the day the programme goes out.
The schedule is really just amazing. I mean, because it's like making a newspaper. I mean, we can have by Thursday night virtually a complete show, and something will happen on Friday, like Chernobyl broke to us that late in the week, and other big events have happened to us where we have to, if we're going to be topical, put a lot of that stuff in the show, and suddenly you have to virtually start from scratch and say that's got to go, that's got to go. Very good sketches that it's heartbreaking to actually take them out and say, well, we've got to do this because this is what, if we're running a newspaper, we'd hold the front page. It's that kind of feel.
What happens now is that after all the planning and the writing and the making of the puppets, all these characters start their journey north to Central Television Studios in Birmingham. So I'll hand you over to your host there, Gaston.
Thanks, Chris. That's a handover. It's handy, isn't it? Suit yourselves. Right, this is Central Television in Birmingham, where Spitting Image is made. It's Saturday now, and the programme is due to be broadcast tomorrow night at 10 o'clock. However, most of the show has already been recorded, but they leave a certain amount of the programme to be recorded at the last possible minute, so those bits are topical. And right now, they're having a meeting inside to decide what's going to be in those last few minutes.
World Driving Championship.
That's great.
Well, this is all, hopefully, VO, apart from one shot of Nigel Mansell in hospital bed.
What, put him in?
In the hospital bed.
John, you're one of the 2 directors on Spitting Image.
Absolutely.
You've recorded the bulk of your show last week. You've now got something like 24 hours to put all what you call the topicals together.
Absolutely right.
How do you go about doing that? Who does what?
It's a sort of controlled panic, really. I mean, we've got about 4 minutes of material we have to put in, 4 minutes of gags we have to put in. So what happens first of all, we get the scripts sent up, and I mean there are literally scripts arriving as we speak. I mean, they're coming through the fax machine, which you'd say is 24 hours in time, goes on air. What happens now is that the art director, who's the man who designs the sets, he goes off and tries to make things as simple as possible, because obviously if we have a sketch that's been written which requires interiors of jet aeroplanes and blowing up and war in Vietnam and various things, I mean, it's not something you can set up within 24 hours. So the first thing is you have to work out a setting for where the thing's going to go so they can build a set within a very short period of time. Then what we have to do is we have to record the sound. The voice recorded people are up there now.
Okay. Yeah, rolling. And we're locked. Very, very quiet, please. Take one.
Over now to the Australian Open, where Britain's Nigel Mansell is making his debut on the professional golf circuit.
Well, Des, there he was, Nigel Mansell, way ahead of the field until the 18th, when disaster struck. His golf trolley lost a wheel, spun, hit the bunker, turned over and exploded. Mansell, we hear, is okay, but dazed, and he's unable to continue.
I don't know, maybe one day I might get a spitting image puppet made of me, but I need to be either A, very famous political leader, or B, very, very silly. And as you know, I'm neither. Well, right, this lot are stood here because they're waiting to be dragged into the studio, which is just there to do their bit. Move back a bit, I'll show you some of the other things that are going on just outside. Got to speak a bit quiet as well. Now, on this side, you've got your wardrobe department, your costume. Because say you wanted Kinnock on a sunbed, well, you'd have to stick him in a pair of swimming trunks, wouldn't you? Repairs, so there's one of the puppets just there. Well, that's magic, because, of course, they get worn and torn. And by here, we've got all the puppeteers waiting, reading their running orders. So when the director says, quick, get in there, or the floor manager says it, they get in there and they do their bit. And you want to see what's going on in there. Ooh, busy.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, certainly that is the sun.
Yes. Good evening. You join us at the Odeon, Leicester Square, and why not that, in a sense, is why it's here, for the glittering British derniere of Ishtar, starring Dustin Hoffman and Warren Beatty.
Hundreds of stars have been invited, so let's take a look at the celebrities already here. And there's...
Okay, here comes the action as follows. Everybody comes from the left. Barry Norman will then come in from that side, and will stand there and do his speech there on the right of frame. And then he will give way the screen to the edge of the screen as Warren and Dustin come from this way, and they're making towards
monitors.
the cinema, which is back here.
Okay.
The cinema is actually
The way you're holding the puppets now is not actually how you work with them. You work in really uncomfortable conditions, don't you?
Well, yes, because we can't be standing here where you would see us. We have to lift the puppets up above our heads and hold them up there for a very long time, and they're rather heavy, but by doing that you can't see us, or you're not supposed to see us.
Well, how do you see what the puppet's doing then?
Well, we have a monitor, a television monitor at our feet that we can look down at and see exactly what's going on. You have to do that, otherwise you haven't got any eyes, and if you're working on a table you wouldn't be able to see where anything is on the table, so you need something to give you that guide. And the picture on the monitor is reversed, so that we've actually got a mirror image of what we're seeing.
So when we move the puppet that way, the picture on the puppet on the picture also moves that way. So everything is in sort of proportion. It's like everything's proportional.
Got any special tricks on some of them? They have novelty values.
You should ask that. Just by coincidence, this one happens.
Mr. Showbiz there.
Work's going on all over the studio at the moment. Over there, they're actually recording one bit with puppets. Behind me, they're getting puppets ready for the next scene. And come over here, if you look at this, round here, they've just finished building a set for the scene they'll be shooting in a few minutes' time. This is Ken, the designer. Ken!
Just had a call, hang on a sec.
Right.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
Keith, you all right?
See, there's so much going on all the time. Yeah. They'll manage, will they? Listen, how many sets have you put up today?
This is for item 19. 19. This is the 19th set of the programme.
19 in one day.
So I think we've got round to 19, yeah.
Tell me about some of the things you've got to do to the set so you can put puppets in them, because it's very different to an ordinary set, isn't it?
Well, as you know, the puppeteers have to work up in the air with at least perhaps 2 people working one puppet, if they're a two-handed puppet. So we have to put everything at 2 feet. That was decided after many experiments, but that was the optimum. So everything is 2 feet. So our floor is always 2 feet from the studio floor.
Here, and here. Your redundancy payments are in a large bag in front of your seat. And if you look out of the window on your right, you will see the job centre. During the takeover, your in-flight entertainment between the 15th and 13th floor will be Benson from Accounts telling you how he has spent 45 years in this company, and this is all the thanks I get.
Oh God, I've seen it.
We hope you've enjoyed working for British Caledonians, and now, if you'd all like to adopt the takeover position, on your knees begging for a job with a new company.
That's right, Maureen. And then we go. So what we do is we go into it straight after. You know, got Berger, then Senna. Then you got down here is Nigel Mansell.
Time is now just after 4 o'clock. All the shooting is finished, and John has retired to the edit suite with all the footage of Spitting Image. They're now going to edit it and assemble it into a programme, and this will take virtually all the time up till 10 o'clock tonight, transmission time. John, how's it going?
Sure. All right so far.
Yeah?
All right, yeah.
No problems?
Not major. We finished. We got in with about 30 seconds to go this morning on shooting, so we're all right on there. And now we've, as you say, a few hours left. We've just got to try and get the thing cut properly so we can get it down to the sound boys, because they've got to stick all the sound effects on it now.
That's the next stage.
That's the next stage, yeah.
Well, you see, Pete, the shot coming up now, we've got Alistair Burnett sniffing down a boot, and then he rubs his nose on the end of the boot. We need a squeaky noise for that.
Yes, I tell you what. Let's use the cup. You put the mic up, John?
Yeah.
Once again, then. How's that? Try that.
Yeah, well, I'll listen to that.
Not that means around stuff. The most serious news reader in the land. Like it or not, that means around stuff.
So, what is to become of this crisis which has gripped the whole world? Will there be a reconciliation?
Yes, fine. We have to provide typed effects and music to fill that out, and there are many, many effects put down. These are usually laid onto a 24-track tape recorder, and each effect is laid individually, and then they're all mixed together as one whole effect and put back onto the original tape.
And any second now, the lights will change from red and green, and away they go. Is this the ultimate Grand Prix of the season? There's Frost, Goldberger, that's Senna. Now there is Nigel Mansell.
Back at the race, Warwick is waving across the track. No, sorry, it's Mrs. Lawson.
This is the nerve centre of any TV station. This is called transmission control. All the programmes are actually broadcast from here. I've actually just seen a guy walk into the room next door with the Spitting Image tape, rewind it, cue it up, and any second now, this is where show number 3, series 4, Spitting Image, will be broadcast from. I can't wait.
15, Spitting Image.
Tomorrow night, we'll hear a teenage love story. An English public schoolboy set out to track down his love
5,
in France.
4, 3, 2, 1.